Hello everybody, this is that Shy Guy Matt with just another general chat. I wanted to talk about three things. They'll be pinned below the timestamp so you could skip to whichever one you want. First one is going to be about surgery coming up. I won't go into a long story because I know people don't really care much about this kind of stuff, but I've been in the hospital ER twice in the last 2 weeks, and I've been having some pain before that, like 10 out of 10 pain, groveling for the pain to stop, crying, vomiting, horrible stuff. Turns out I have gallstones with biliary colic. So needless to say, I'm probably gonna have to have a surgery. I don't know how long the surgery is. I know it's an easy procedure. I don't know what the recovery time is, but I do have videos lined up ahead of time, for at least a month out. So if I need some time to myself to recover, at least there's content there. But yeah, just thought I'd let you know about that, in case there's a gap for some reason. I imagine it should go fine though. The next thing I want to talk about was reacting to music. As you've noticed, depending on when you watch this, I have ERB reactions up, Epic Rap Battles, and I looked online, and those don't seem to have a lot of issues with copyright stuff. Other music in general seems to be having a lot more issues. Channels are losing, they're getting copyright strikes. Some people are losing their channels over it. Their whole channel is being demonetized. Aside from ERB, I don't know if I'm going to really react to music. I've gotten a few suggestions, but this is a new channel and I don't really want to destroy the channel. Maybe if the restrictions let up a little, I'll start reacting to stuff musically. But yeah, it's really harsh, and much as I want to enjoy the reaction, maybe another time I will. But I will try to keep the suggestions on my computer for the future. There's Loki. I also wanted to talk about Mafia. Just share a few little fun stories. I was born in '81, and I've lived my whole life in Ohio, along Lake Erie. And if you could tell, you may not be able to tell. I don't have my long, nice hair, but I have to shave my head due to migraines for ice packs, as you've probably seen in some of my past videos. But yeah, I think it said my ancestry is something like 53%, 54% Italian, and the rest of me is split into smaller groups: German, Slovenian, or not Slovenian, Ukrainian, Russian, French, English, Scottish, Swedish. I have a really weird heritage after the Italian part. But yeah, growing up, my grandfather was not a big fan of the Mafia. When my dad was a teenager, the road we live on is like a main road that runs through the state, and it ran into Cleveland. It wouldn't be uncommon for the Mafia to stop at some of the bars or stuff around the area, you know, and looking for younger people to recruit. Well, one time at a bar, when my dad was like, I think he said he was 15 or 16, he was stealing quarters from the pool table. My dad had an interesting childhood before he straightened up, and a Mafia guy approached him and offered him a bunch of free suits if he would do him some favors. And I guess my grandfather was there at the bar. He came up to the guy and told him, basically, don't you ever talk to my son about that. Don't involve him in that stuff. And my grandfather was a respected Italian guy, so they were nice about it. And they said, you know, okay, we get it. And they didn't bug my dad again. But I imagine if my dad would have joined, I probably wouldn't be here right now. Who knows if he would have married my mom even. My dad was a different person back then. I won't get into details, but he wasn't a great person. People like Capone and Elliot Ness have gone through the area where I live. Capone went to a business or two locally. I don't know much about it. People don't really say much about it. Especially in my family, they don't really like to talk about the Mafia end of it. Probably, again, because my grandfather was strict. Outside of my grandparents, I'm sure some of the siblings may have been involved. Again, it's a subject they've never really talked about, and most of them are passed away at this point. But I do know there are family that were involved in the Mafia. And on my mom's side, ironically, her cousin is a Russian Mafia princess. I mean, now I think she's like in her 60s, but so I've got it on both sides. And I was never ashamed to say Mafia stuff was in my family. You know, your past history before you is just what it is. It's your history. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We all have our history and our genealogy and all that stuff. So I've always embraced that side of my family. No, I'm not part of the Mafia. I'm pretty sure any Mafia that exists now is probably like some online schemy kind of extortion stuff. Who knows? One interesting story is at a library east of Cleveland, they had a session where they talked about mafia people locally. And of course, again, Capone was brought up, Elliot Ness was brought up. And when you went into this giant room, I can't describe how big it is, but it's big enough that it held like 200 people. Well, as soon as you walk in, the guy talking about the mafia was a former police detective and some other previous agent or something. I forgot. It's been a while. But when you walk into the room, you see the seats everywhere filled with people of all kinds of people, black, white, man, women, young, old. But along the back wall, standing there, are these old Italian guys. And they all look like they're in, they got their hats and they got their like black zoot suits. And you could tell they were ex-mafia. So it's kind of funny because you just felt a certain presence about them. And when the cop detective was talking about the stories, you look at the back of the room and you'd see the guys like they knew. So yeah, we have a strong history here with that kind of stuff. It's weird to say that, I don't want to say I enjoy the mafia, but again, it's history, especially for Italians. I mean, I know there are other mafias, like the Yakuza for, I think it's the Japanese, there's the Russian mafia, so there's other mafias, of course, but yeah, those are some interesting stories that I remember. Interestingly enough, this was before I was born. My dad had a cousin, I can't remember his exact name, it was like Butch, and then he had a nickname, something, and this was during the time when the mafia was still going. I want to say the 60s, maybe the 70s. I can't remember the exact date. I don't know if they were interested in him. Like I said, more members back then, more family members were probably part of it back then. Well, he decided he was going to go to college and switch to become I want to say basically he'd be working with the police. He'd be like law enforcement. When he did that, somehow in a accident, he died in a car accident, supposedly. And it was always fishy that as soon as he mentioned he wanted to become law enforcement or legal with the legal system stuff, he managed to get in a car accident not long after. So I'm not laughing at it like it's funny, but it's just, questionable in this area. Yeah, there's a lot of things about being Italian, the stereotypes that are kind of true. No, we don't carry baseball bats. We do actually have a baseball bat in our closet. Well, now we have a firearm for safety instead, but yeah, there's certain things like we talk with our hands. I try not to do it as much. I try to be self-aware of it. There's certain things we love to eat, certain things we love to drink. Yeah, it's funny. I love being Italian. And the family doings are great because if you've ever been to an Italian family doing, let's say there's like 10 people, well, you end up having like 3 tables of food that could feed like 100 people. And you got everything. Pizza, different pizzas, different pastas. You got like anchovies, you got crock pots full of meatballs with different sauces, salads. Now we even have chicken. We have everything. They're so huge. So let's just say it's hard to diet when you're Italian. Of course, now that I have gallstones, ironically, pizza and pasta are something I can't really have. So it's killing me inside, literally and figuratively. But yeah, so I just thought I'd share some fun stuff about the mafia, being Italian. And I don't know if this video will get a lot of views, but I just like to share with my community because I just got done watching a Richard Pryor skit about the mafia, so it just brought back some memories for me. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. It does help. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.